As you begin to turn your idea into a business, you'll have to decide which legal entity works best to help that business grow. You'll need to know when and where you should form a legal entity, and the pros and cons of each type. As with so many issues with your business, timing is key.
So some of the factors that you need to think about when deciding when to form an entity include if you're working with more than one founder on a company. If you have intellectual property, you want to make sure you have an entity. And if you're at the point where you're getting investment from an investor, you should look to form an entity.
Forming a legal entity allows you to establish the individuals involved in the company, how much ownership each individual has, and voting and management rights of each owner. Most investors will fund companies only once a legal entity has been established. The three common entity types are Limited Liability Company, or LLC, C Corporation, or S Corporation. Each legal entity is created under the state law governing that entity. All 50 states have laws that govern LLCs, corporations, and other legal entities. But while the corporation is formed under state law, the C and S terms used to describe corporations are federal tax law terms that describe the section of the federal tax code that governs the corporation.
The pros of establishing an LLC is that it's easy to form. In Michigan, it only costs $50 to establish an LLC, and it only takes a couple of days to set it up. There are also really positive tax attributes to an LLC. Some of the cons are that it can be more complicated to draft the operating agreement of an LLC, which governs the relationship between the owners of the company. And also, if you're trying to get venture capital financing, you'll have to convert that LLC into a corporation in order to get that investment.
Delaware is a top choice for new startups for a variety of reasons. The pros of Delaware C corporations. They're familiar to investors and the business community. Bylaws and other governance documents are standard and easier to create. Venture capitalists invest in them, but there are some downsides. Delaware C corporations are subject to increased administrative requirements. The company's profits will be taxed, and subsequent income and dividends passed on to employees and shareholders will be taxed, and more costly administration fees. An S corporation also has pros and cons. As pass-through entities, Delaware S corporations could have additional tax benefits. For example, owners may be able to avoid some self-employment taxes that active LLCs can't. Bylaws and other governance documents are standard and easier to create. But there are also cons. Venture capitalists will not invest in Delaware S corporations. S corporations are subject to more administrative requirement fees.
When you're serious about moving forward with your company, you want to make sure that you give some careful thought about the entity that you form. You want to make sure you talk to a lawyer, get good legal advice, and understand the full range of your options.